TechInFive.
Python in practice, master real-world projects in 5 minutes. Get Docker and Python running in a container in just 5 minutes. Let's start. Hello and welcome. In just 5 minutes, we're going to get Docker installed on your machine, set up a Docker container, and have Python running inside it. Whether you're a developer, a student, or just curious about Docker, you'll see how easy it is to start with Docker and Python. Let's dive in. Now, let's get Docker installed on your computer. First, head over to the official Docker website at docker.com. Here, you'll find Docker Desktop for your platform. While Docker is downloading, it's a great time to create your Docker ID. Click on Create an Account. Fill in your details to create your account. With a Docker ID, you'll be able to pull and push images to Docker Hub, access official repositories, and more. And there we go. Once Docker is installed and you have your Docker ID, you're all set to start containerizing your applications. Great! Now let's tweak some settings to optimize our Docker environment. When you first launch Docker Desktop, go to the Settings menu. Here you can adjust whether Docker starts automatically when you log in. You can enable this for convenience. Next, click on the Resources tab. It allows you to allocate how much memory, CPU, and disk space Docker can use. For most development tasks, setting memory to 2 GB and CPUs to 2 should suffice. However, adjust this based on your machine's capabilities and your project needs. Here, you can also increase the disk image size if you plan on creating larger containers or need more storage for your Docker images. Go to the Docker Engine tab, and you'll see a JSON configuration file. This file can be modified to change advanced settings. For most users, the default settings are good enough. If you're planning to use Kubernetes, you can enable it in the Kubernetes tab. Note that enabling Kubernetes will use more system resources. Click on Enable Kubernetes, and Docker will handle the rest of the setup for you. After making your changes, click Apply and Restart to save your settings. Docker will restart with these new configurations in place. And that wraps up our setup for Docker. Next, we'll move on to pulling a Python image and creating our first container. Let's keep going. First, click on the Images tab on the left side. Here you'll see an option to search images to run. Click on this. In the search bar, type Python and select the official Python image. This version of Python includes all the essentials you need. Then, click on the Pull button to start downloading the image to your local machine. Once the image is downloaded, it's time to create and run your container. Let's start by creating a Docker container that will remain running in the background. Open your terminal and type the following command. Docker run command does several things. -d runs the container in detached mode. It assigns the name Python container to our container. Python is the Docker image we're using. We use tail command to keep the container running indefinitely. Here, our container is created and is running. Next, we'll use Docker execute command to access the bash shell inside our running container, allowing us to execute commands directly inside the container. Now, let's create a simple Python script in the bash shell. This command writes a simple Python script that prints "Hello World" into a file named hello.py. Next, let's run our script. "Hello World" will be printed in the terminal. This confirms that Python is running successfully in our Docker container. Let's install Flask, a lightweight and popular web framework for Python. Now switch back to Docker Desktop. We can see our container, Python container, listed and running. This graphical interface lets you manage your containers easily. To stop the container, simply click the Stop button. This will halt the container, but it can be started again anytime with just a click. And that's it! We've successfully pulled the Python image using Docker Desktop and created our Docker container, which is now running smoothly. By using Docker containers, we're able to establish consistent and reliable development environments, ensuring that our projects run seamlessly across any machine. Thank you for following along with this Docker and Python setup tutorial. Stay tuned for more videos.
Stay tuned for more videos on TechInFive.